Yeah, they hate when you elevate. You're stacking up losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight.
Oh shit. I'm sorry about that, Cyber. That was the serious amateur moment right there, folks.
Okay,
remember now, we're not here to judge anybody. We want to handle this with love, right? You want to tell him how his drug abuse has hurt you, maybe hurt himself. Okay, Harold, what time did you tell him to be here?
5 o'clock, but he's always late.
No, he'll be here. In 3, 2, 1.
Is this a 5 o'clock free crack giveaway?
All right, folks, how we doing out there? Welcome to the MCU's Bleeding Edge, and we're here to discuss the finale of She-Hulk Disney Plus series Attorney at Law. So we're going to be discussing and going over this interesting finale episode, and there's I think a lot to talk about, I feel. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of great answers to this finale. So, of course, if you are just joining in, of course, we are the MCU's Bleeding Edge, and we discuss everything from Marvel. We do other great stuff. We're doing currently the Game of Thrones new series, House of Dragon. We're also doing the Lord of the Rings TV series as well. And also, we just pretty much do lots of cool comic stuff, too. So, yeah, if you like us, definitely hit that subscribe button, people. But anyways, so, of course, we have a great panel with us tonight. We, of course, have my humble co-host, Mr. True Knowledge. How we doing, True Knowledge?
I'm humble as usual.
Awesome, awesome. We also have Loki's mom joining us from the great, awesome Sakar.freeforms.net, also part of the podcast of champions. Hello, Loki's mom. How we doing?
I'm doing really great. How are y'all?
Good, we're good. Thank you. And then, of course, we also have returning with us is Jasmine, who is a YouTuber as well. Welcome, Jasmine. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you all for joining us tonight to discuss this finale. So, basically, to start us off, so the episode starts off kind of very interesting, I thought. It's a very nice little homage to the original TV series of the Hulk. And it's one of those shows that was very amazing and fun when it was on during the 70s. We had Lou Ferrigno playing the Hulk at the time, Bill Bixby playing the Bruce Banner counterpart for the TV series. But this whole beginning section was a homage to that. They had like another taller woman playing the She-Hulk, all painted green and stuff, kind of what Lou Ferrigno did back in that TV series. And it was just a really fun homage, I thought. And then it went right into the episode, basically, and showing Jen in jail at the same type of containment facility as Emil was in when we first saw him again in the TV series. And there she's basically discussing with Nikki and the other lawyers about what she can do, basically what's going to happen and kind of what her plea deal and stuff is like that. And basically she ends up making a plea deal saying that she'll wear the inhibitor in order to get out of the DODC. So basically we see her do that. She gets out and we kind of have a montage of her moving back in with her parents. We see her parents. We get all this interesting kind of her. Yes, Hot D. Yes, most certainly. And we're seeing all this kind of silly montage that's just showing her getting her things in order after the whole incident happened at the end of the last episode. So before we move on past that and get into the next section, what was everyone's thoughts on that beginning sequence that was the homage to the original TV series, The Hulk? Because I was a huge fan of that show. I absolutely loved it. I thought it worked really well. I loved Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk. I thought Bill Bixby was amazing. How did you guys feel about that? And then even going into that beginning montage and her being released from the DOC, what were your thoughts on that? We'll start with you.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
Yes. And we'll start with you, Loki's mom.
Yeah, I'd definitely remember the original TV show when it was on, when it was first broadcast with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno. And it really, anybody that's ever seen it, I think got it. And maybe if you haven't seen the old show, you probably figured out that that's what they were parroting. So I thought it was real well done. Of course, it was a dream. She wakes up and that was just a silly little dream sequence just to open it up. But I liked it where there's one scene, I don't know if you noticed it, where she and Bruce Banner, she's standing there and he's standing there. He's got looking down or something like that. And there's just the way it was styled, just like they did the shows back in the 1970s, how they would pose the actors and all that. So yeah, it was a great little homage to that original series.
Nice, thank you. I agree. I think that was a good point there. I do recall that sequence, and I thought it was really well crafted. I thought it was really well done too. I really enjoyed just that whole sequence because I thought it was a good way of introducing this episode and giving us this just kind of a silly parody / kind of introduction to this episode that kind of got your, if you're a huge fan of anything before Marvel, it got those blood flowing and want to see more. So I thought that was a good kind of little gimmick by Marvel there. Jasmine, your thoughts on that intro?
Honestly, I love the intro. As a huge fan of the Hulk, I know I'm not really that familiar with the original Hulk with Ruth Rigno, but I am well enough versed with the opening. So that little homage was wonderful. It definitely got me in the feels because it's definitely a generational thing. When you have something that's from an older generation that is beloved by fans and then bringing that forth with a little spin is wonderful. And they did a great way of retelling a recap with that old tiny little spin to it. And I loved it. It was wonderful. It definitely was a great opener.
Nice. Awesome. Was there anything particular in that beginning that you thought was like outstanding, or anything that caught your eye that maybe somebody else didn't notice?
What I definitely liked is how they kept true to the original vision of the with the eye. Instead of using eye contacts, they actually used a little bit of CGI to make her eyes glow. Them actually getting a female double bodybuilder in order to do the She-Hulk was really cool. It was nice to see her at the ball at the that event throwing over tables and stuff, so you kind of got a little further view of what was going on inside, because during the gala she kind of just goes straight through the wall and attacks the guy. So now you kind of know that she kind of went insane inside the gala as well, which shows why people were really frightened and scared, because it wasn't just her punching the TVs and then breaking the wall. It was her causing a lot of damage on the inside. So that was really cool.
Excellent. Thank you. Sir Jeff, your thoughts are on that beginning intro.
Well, I mean, I would have liked it better if when Jen was in the in prison, there would have been a you know, like some kind of like girl on girl, you know, potential action or whatever, possibly, you know, like some Sally, you know, like, you know, turns her out, you know, sort of action or whatever. You know, I think that would have really added a different element to the finale. But you know, like you know, some Oz like from HBO crossover type deal. But either way, from a, you know, that's just from Bleeding Edge perspective, or I mean my perspective. But as far as the like the retro, you know, aspect and whatnot and everything, now that I liked. I like the contrast that I found in the series with WandaVision here and there. It's weird, but I found them. We've talked about that, Cyber, you and I. Like, you know, there's things I've noticed like about it, you know, where I have kind of connected it with WandaVision in a way, in a weird way. And at that point, and just like we were talking about with Werewolf by Night, you know, the other night and whatnot, the same kind of deal with them having like, you know, the black and white imagery, the gray and the black and the white, the old fashioned, you know, type of style of shooting of film. You know, I like the throwback stuff. I do. I think that it's important. I think that it's nice to give back and to give proper respect to people like Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno and whatnot, and Jack Colvin and everything and whatnot, you know, for you know, producing something like, you know, like the original Hulk series in a time where, compared to where we're at now, or like where Marvel Studios is at, it's what they can do with a TV show or cinematically is at such a different level than like, you know, what, the 70s or whatever it was, or when the show started, right?
It was the 70s.
Or was it? Yeah, late 70s. Yeah, I mean, you know, like honestly, I mean, when did we get color television? What, the 60s?
Yeah.
Oh,
late 60s.
Well, geez, Cyber, I guess we know how I broke the screen on my phone already. There you go. Anyways, but besides that, no, I like the throwback stuff. I think it's good to see them actually pay homage to, like, you know, to people who have played the characters and whatnot and everything, you know, that played the Hulk. And besides that, I enjoy one of the aspects I do really like about the She-Hulk series is I do like the dichotomy between She-Hulk and Jennifer Walters, I guess, like the whole, you know, her like human side, her human side versus She-Hulk. So I like her as just like, you know, Tatiana Maslany, Jennifer Walters and whatnot. I like how she is and whatnot. You know, she's different when she's She-Hulk. I like her kind of like almost perky, you know, peppy kind of, you know, smart, you know, intelligent, like let's have a drink, let's dance, like, you know, let's like, you know, let's make out, let's have sex type vibe. I dig that. You know, she's pretty cool. You know, so and she's very attractive too. But yeah, I thought it was cool. Like I said, I thought it was neat. It definitely probably was like one of the highlights of this, I think, of the finale, probably.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So, going past the montage, basically we come to a scene where Jen and Nikki are now planning to try to figure out who Intelligentsia is and who leaked the information of her and stuff like that. And basically, you know, we're going to sue them. And Jen's like, we're going to sue them and stuff like that. And Nikki's kind of like, you know, kind of agreeing, but at the same time, she's kind of like, you know, I'm not sure type of deal. And so as they're talking a little bit and stuff like that, they, you know, basically, you know, come to, you know, kind of understanding what they want to do. And then at one point after that scene, we go to Jen and she's like, you know, I need to go see Emil. And so she decides to go see Emil at the retreat. And she looks at the camera doing the fourth wall thing saying, hey, he said I could come anytime. And then it goes back to Nikki at the office along with Pug. And they're doing some research and stuff like that. And she's like doing some recon and stuff like that with Intelligentsia and stuff like that. And actually ends up talking to somebody and getting basically an invite to upcoming thing for Intelligentsia. And it says, you know, the person talks back, can't wait to see you, dude. And she's like, oh crap, like I'm not a dude. So she enlists Pug to help her out and, you know, saying, hey, can you do this favor? So then it bounces back to Jen. She's just getting to the resort. She meets that one guy that was a part of the group of people trying to get her blood in episode 3. It's like, oh yeah, you're welcome. Come on in. And they basically have a little scene together. And then it bounces back and shows Pug and Nikki in her car driving to a place. We don't know what the place is or where it is. We're seeing them driving there and getting there. And basically, Nikki starts talking about, oh, I need you to do some recon here and stuff like that, and put these earbuds in, and I'll tell you what to say and all this kind of stuff, and we'll record everything. And he's kind of like, won't they notice that I have these earbuds in? And she's like, no, they're not going to notice. They're not going to care. Oh, everyone wears earbuds, stuff like that. And so basically he ends up going in, and there's all these people there. It's a big gathering, and they're all in there talking and stuff like that. And basically they're there, and they're having their thing. We go back to Jen again, and she's in the thing talking a little bit more to that guy from the previous episode, and basically says, oh, she's like he basically goes, oh, that'll be good for a group tomorrow. She's like, I kind of want to just talk to Emil myself, I don't want to talk, kind of a thing between me and Emil. And basically she's like, did you know where Emil is? She's like, yeah, he's down there at the one spot, and he should be there. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna go find him. Okay, so then it goes back to basically that party or shindig that they're having, and Pug's in there, and he's like trying to get in, and he starts talking and stuff, and Nikki starts feeding him lines and stuff like that. And then we end up seeing Todd there, and Todd's there, and he's talking and doing all his thing. He's very Toddish, and basically they're having a conversation going, and Pug's like interjecting a little bit here and there to kind of get them to kind of allow him in, kind of so that he can start asking certain questions. And so basically that's all happening, and we get to a certain point, so we'll stop there. So let's talk a little bit about these prior scenes to this. So what was everyone's thoughts on pretty much, from the suing scene, going through the process of getting to the retreat, to Nikki and Pug ended up going to that place where, to find these people, Intelligentsia, and kind of this all thing. What were you guys' thoughts on that whole section of the episode? Was there anything intriguing about it? Was there anything you didn't like? Was there anything that you found interesting about it? Or what was your overall thoughts just on that section of this episode? Starting with you, Loki's mom.
Well, yeah, starting with where she wakes up, and then she's there in the octagon or whatever that is, where Abomination had just been, Emil Blonsky. Yeah, well, okay, you sort of, well, that's what we expected, because she had just gotten arrested by damage control. Yeah, the plea. Then she took the plea deal or whatever it was, so she could be on the outside, and she's got the ankle bracelet on, and then I didn't know really where it was going. It was just kind of plodding along there. Just she was back to square one, back to even worse than square one. She's worse off now than she ever was before she became She-Hulk. And she's just depressed in there in her room with her, inevitably, that her former room that becomes the catch-all that usually happens once the kids leave the house, the parents' house. But there she is, back to her parents, and then it just insult to injury. The guy, she sees the guy on isn't that when she sees the guy on TV, and he's it was in the DA's office, the pencil neck that everybody hates.
Yep.
He's blabbed, we used to date, and yada yada, and she's crazy, and she was crazy before she was She-Hulk and all that, and it's just, I really didn't know where they were going to go with it. So yeah, once it got to, then it got sort of wound up back with, is it Nikki? Is her assistant?
Yes.
Nikki and Pug. So Nikki and Pug, they've taken it upon themselves to or at least she has at this point, to find out who the Hulk King of Intelligentsia is, or whatever, and find out who's behind this, because obviously nobody else seems to care. They just want her out of the way, the public and everything. So, you know, and then when they fight, and then it starts getting to be, okay, it's starting to get a little too pat now. You know, I'm starting to, you know, things are starting to look weird. And of course, then she goes to the retreat herself and returns to, oh, and did you notice the one thing that did stand out when she was trying to contact Bruce, that she had his picture and she had Smug Hulk as his name on her iPhone, which I thought that was, you know, that was her, yeah, Smug, or her, and yeah, once it kind of gets into, which I don't think you've really got to that part yet. I think it starts getting. Then I start thinking, okay, here's what they were doing, and I had said way on back, first episode that I sort of maybe wasn't on with you guys, but I did another podcast with the guys over at. I'm getting a really bad echo there, Jeff. Okay, that's better. Over there at SockHardFreeforms.net at their podcast of champions, they're doing She-Hulk also. So I sort of made the prediction back then that something was up with all this, where they were just kind of rubbing the guy's stuff in the face, you know, all the trolling and all the stuff and all the things we all kind of complain about and whatnot, or defend or whatever. And I think it starts to show, okay, here's where the show's going. And I'll say what I think, or what you can call this, or what you can call this type of show. But I'll say that for toward the end, because we kept trying to pigeonhole what was it, a sitcom? What was it? And I think now we know. Anyway.
All right. And so we got kind of to the beginning of the party sequence. What did you think about that before Todd gives some vital information to Pug? So we talked the introduction.
Yeah, that's
to Pug.
where, yeah, right in there. That's where they're the guys are. He's mealing about eavesdropping on the conversations. Pug is, and this one guy he says, yeah, Lady Thor, you know, and something whatever he said, and he's said about her, and he said, and I don't care if she's a female, I would complain about her the same way if she was a male, you know, or something like that. Just the typical, what we have actually heard ourselves on, we've read it on the internet and whatnot. So yeah, at that point I thought, well, the game is up. So anyway,
awesome,
interesting flow of events, put it that way.
All right, awesome. All right, Jasmine, same question.
Off your mic, Jasmine.
You're still muted, Jasmine.
All right, so with that part of the episode, it's nice to know that when Jen decided to leave from her home and that dysfunctional home life of having to move back in and deal with her mother working out in her room while she's trying to sleep, it was nice to see her go back to a meal and stop the narration that was about to go overhead. It's nice to know that the one guy that's a vampire is a vampire, because the one guy from the Wrecking Crew mentions that that he slips like chicken blood into the tea every time he makes it, so you gotta keep an eye on it. So it's nice to know that it wasn't one of those jokes, kind of like WandaVision where they did Ralph Boner.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice that it's not a nod off, ignore that. And then her going down to see Emil down, before going down to see Emil, when they're down in the cabin and, you know, the man babies are acting weird and conversating about how Lady Thor is weird and they don't like her and she shouldn't have those powers, and he wouldn't, it's not because she's a female, he would have the same problem if she was a male. Hello, Thor. So it was like, and then we have our poor little baby trying to sit there, mix in there to get information. Oh, that was so awkward for him. He was like, okay, let's do this. Let's be gross. And I'm just like, oh. Oh. And when Todd turned around and said, of course you're one of us, his face, he felt so defeated. He was just like, what do you mean? I love that because it's nice to see some character development with side characters. I know they've had that a lot lacking in the MCU. So you have feelings for these characters, especially Pug's cute ass. He is so adorable. And him happened to say that Jen is sleeping with the boss, and it pissed him off. If that wasn't the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life, it was like a little puppy trying to like bark for a toy or something, but it wasn't really coming out. It came out more like a squeak. That's what it was giving. And Todd being, Hulk King was just kind of like, we knew it. We all knew it. Did it make it any better once we heard it? No. But I did want to choke him with that scarf. Just choke him out. But yeah, them saying they all wanted to smash Pug when he said oh yeah, he's one of us and I dialed for him and he's hot too. I'd smash him. Pug's like, huh? That one left. He got like a whole U-turn. He was like, huh? And particularly that part of the whole thing, especially with Emil coming in, it was all just interesting but chaotic. It was interesting but chaotic. It felt very,
Like
basically rushed, like majority of the MCU. It felt rushed, like they were trying to get to the ending and everything, which is wonderful. We'll get more to that later.
All right. Thank you. All right. So Jeff, your thoughts, sir?
Well, I mean, basically, what can I say? Like the big bad of like of the series ends up being, of all things, like what, toxic masculinity or some shit, like chauvinism. I mean, like I just they could have done something more clever than like Hulkling or whatever. Like, I mean, seriously, I didn't even know what the hell was going on at that point in the episode. That's why I said that the intro was like probably one of the best things about it, just because I was like, what the hell is this? I was like, what is this crap? Like seriously? Like, the big threat is like incels or whatever, like Reddit and like 4chan and shit like that and whatnot. Like, I'm sorry, but I've met those dudes in real life. They're not a big threat to anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, like they're really not. Unless like you're threatened by like dudes that like busted nut from like 30-second blowjobs. You know what I mean? Then like, hey, then there you go. There's them dudes at Intelligentsia right there. So like, if that's their like purpose with She-Hulk, is that they're like blaming She-Hulk for that. Well, that's not She-Hulk's fault. You know what I'm saying? Like, like she didn't do that shit. But no, I'm sorry, but like, I mean, with Intelligentsia, at least it's comic book connected. At least there's a comic book, connection there, and it's accurate to some extent, in some way. And I give I guess Marvel Studios credit, or like I give the whole team behind She-Hulk credit for tying the series directly into the the culture, right? Like tying it directly into the internet, directly into like what's going on online and whatnot, right? What is sort of like, to some extent, somewhat realistic in some ways. I like to see those connections, right? And I love the comic book connections, but again, like I said in the last review, when it comes to, you know, John Bass as Todd Phelps, Hulk King, you know, all I have to say about it really is what co-executive producer Wendy Jacobson said. The character was socially commentary on misogyny, cancel culture, and the unfair view of women. So, I mean, that right there to me is like everything I need to hear. Like, you know, the fact that that's right there on Wikipedia, it's added right in there. I can only imagine what the rest of the people in like the room when they created this series and whatnot were actually thinking, what direction they were trying to go. And kind of, I guess, connecting off of what Renee's talking about, the man bashing gets tired. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can only do it for so long. Like, you can only beat up on men for so long and whatnot and make us all out to be like, we're all chauvinists and we're all like pigs and, you know, and whatnot. I just don't care for it. And I don't think it does any good for anybody to only highlight and only elevate men that are weak. You know what I'm saying? Like the last time I checked it, weak men weren't the ones that like created America or democracy or, you know, fought wars or whatever and like, you know, stormed the beach at Normandy and shit like that. So at that point, you know, I mean, like, I just, you know, I think that at the end of the day, it's interesting that this series of all series is the one that's causing this much division in the fandom right now, ideologically, to where people are arguing and whatnot. And there's all this like back and forth and everything and whatnot. It's almost like this toxicity at times. Mm-hmm. And it's this She-Hulk series of all like, you know, characters. It's this series that's actually causing it. Now, I don't know if that's a timing thing or if it's the series itself or what it is, but in general, I thought that the whole meeting, you know, with Hulkling and everything and whatnot, and the bad mouthing, you know, Jane Foster Thor and whatnot and all that, and it just was really unimpressive to me. You know, it wasn't really all that entertaining. I would have rather seen more Daredevil or like more She-Hulk fighting people and shit.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I completely get what you're saying. And yeah, it's definitely, you can see where it's going and what it's going. Jasmine, you had something else you would like to say?
All right. So what Jeff was saying was he felt like it was a complete talk about misogyny and separates the fandom. Honestly, no, it doesn't separate the fandom. It separates true fans and the misogynistic, toxic fans. With the new Phase 4, Phase 4 was doing something different. It was changing the formula of the MCU in order to basically, what they did with the first 10 years is not going to work anymore due to the fact that they're adding more shows, adding more characters, adding more movies, and you can't do the same formula over and over again because it won't work. And the difference is some of these fans are already hating on a show before it even comes out. They judge it by the trailer and immediately go into hate. They did it with Black Panther too. They did it with She-Hulk, Miss Marvel. And they refuse to really enjoy a show and see where it's going. And She-Hulk is a commentary on that fact that it's not just men, it's people in general. Jen had to deal with the fact that people turned on her while she's trying to get to know herself. On top of, we have men, toxic men, doing what they do best, spitting out lies and hate in order to get a following. That's pretty much what they do. And it's called incels. That's why they gave them Intelligentsia. And it's very comic book accurate when it comes to She-Hulk's character. She calls things out. She breaks the fourth wall. She leaps over. That's kind of her thing.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I'm just going to say this, you know, in my opinion, I feel that is the thought on everything, on all films, on all music, everything like that. There's always going to be those people that are going to complain and yell about something before they even see it. And I think that's just people in general. That's just how they are. And I don't think that the She-Hulk series is purposely, you know, that, you know, defiant. I mean, I get the whole comic book thing about She-Hulk and her breaking the fourth wall and stuff like that. But at the same time, I think that's just what they wanted to do with this, because yeah, like you said, they want to change that formula that had already been there. And I get that. I get that they want to break that down and change it. But also at the same time, you don't really want to mess with success when you have success and majority of people enjoy it. So I get what you're saying, Jasmine, but at the same time, I think there's a lot more to it than just that.
Well, on top of it, we have to deal with the fact that there are fans that like you're saying, the original formula, but there are people that are getting tired of it.
But that's just like with anything.
Having a bunch of plot that goes into a fight scene at the end. Like my man had an issue with the last episode because he felt like it was boring. While me, I understood that not every show needs to end in a clash battle, especially when they had so much story that they need to continue. And that's why they're getting a season 2.
What story? This isn't Game of Thrones. This isn't the House of the Dragon over here. The finale was a fucking joke. Let's be honest here. Like, it was freaking flat, and it was not entertaining, and it was boring. It wasn't funny at all, and it was not profound at all. It proved nothing, like culturally at all. Nothing.
In my opinion, I think that's your opinion, because for me,
there was no way around. The first 10 years of the MCU had to end, and they had to like rehash. Like, that's how it works. Like, the Marvel Cinematic Universe was only going to be able to work for so long. Actors and actresses have shelf lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how the game works. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't decide to go with Phase 4 and whatnot and to go in the direction that they went in because of She-Hulk, or because of incels or something like that or whatever. Like, there's no massive huge swath of the fandom that is chauvinist incels. I'm sorry, but we're not. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're some of the most respectful, decent men out there. So, you know, I'm sorry, but like, that's just not a reality. You know, like, you're right. Everyone's had shit to say, bad shit to say about every Disney Plus series. People hated WandaVision during WandaVision. They were like, oh, this sucks. It's boring. It's terrible. It's not entertaining. I loved it. I thought it was fucking awesome. I still do. But now Moon Knight, I thought it sucked. For episode 4 through 6, it blew. And the finale was garbage, I thought.
Do you have TikTok, though?
Do I have what?
TikTok.
Well, of course I do.
There are some Marvel fans that are on there are very incelly and very toxic, and they will go out of their way to find someone that enjoys something and literally shuts them down, and even has the nerve to tell them to shut up, and their opinion doesn't matter, and that their opinion matters more, even though they're being the person that says, yes, you can have your opinion, but I'm allowed to have mine and enjoy it. But they are going out of their way to say, no, you're wrong, you're dumb, and your opinion doesn't matter. That's what we're referring to. Those fans are out there, and especially women.
I've experienced it myself. I had somebody come in the comment section of the MCU's Winning Edge TikTok channel and tell me the Disney Plus She-Hulk series is not for me. It's not for me.
Which is true. If you don't enjoy it, then it's not for you, and you don't have to watch it, while those who do enjoy it can continue to watch it. It's that simple. That's what we're trying to say. If you don't enjoy it, it's not a show for you then. You don't have to enjoy it. You don't have to watch it.
You're doubling down on the dude that said that disgusting shit to me.
No, what I'm saying is I can understand where they're coming from, and I can understand where you're coming from. If you don't enjoy it, don't watch it. That's my opinion. I have friends that enjoyed the reboot of Charmed. I refuse to watch it.
So it all comes down, let's leave it at this. It all comes down to there's going to be opinions on everything. And opinions are going to be the individual's thoughts and how they feel it or see it. And not everyone's going to get along. Not everyone is going to agree. And that's just how life is. That's how people are. And people that come into your comments and say certain things, those are trolls. Let's just put it that way. That's what they are. They're trolls, and they want you to get your goat, to get you to say something to them or say something so that it gets you going. And that's what those trolls are for. Those people that are, in there in those certain Marvel comments or, in anything, any type of subject.
Isn't that exactly what happened to Jen in the story, though?
Exactly.
That's exactly what happens to her.
Yeah. So that's how
what
it
they're
goes.
Reflecting. That's what they're showing here.
So, yeah. So
fuck again, you, Steve from Bumble. Fuck you.
Yes, Steve. Yes, Steve. Fuck you, Steve.
I'm blaming Steve for that shit.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll just leave it at that. It's opinions, and that's what it is. So moving on. So back to the party. We have Pug. Once again, he's infiltrated himself into where Todd is, and he's asking questions, getting things going. And Todd, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, says, yeah, I created Intelligentsia. I'm the one behind it all. Because not everyone deserves to have just superpowers. Everyone deserves to have superpowers. And that he basically construed the whole thing to be able to get Jen's blood and to basically make a serum for himself to turn him into a superhero type of person. And so basically that happens. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we see the Abomination appear. Holy crap. He's in full form. He's changing. He's changing when he's not supposed to be. And so he ends up basically going on and, he goes on and does some stuff. And he's like, oh, he's up there. And he's like, yeah, let's get this thing all going on and stuff like that. And basically we end up finding out because Jen starts walking towards this place. We pause and go to see Jen. She's walking up to the hut where Blonsky supposedly is. And we end up finding out they're all at the retreat. The Intelligentsia thing is at the retreat with Emil. And so they come in, and Jen ends up coming in and sees everyone there, and she sees Emil, and she's like, he's an abomination form. And he's like, whoa, Jen. And he starts to shrink back down. And basically that's when Jen breaks the fourth wall again and goes, is this really what we're going to do after everyone starts to basically start fighting? And so they go to that. They basically all of a sudden they go start fighting and everything. Everyone shows up, Hulk pops back up and they're all there and they're all fighting and stuff like that. And all of a sudden that's when Jen breaks the fourth wall and basically says, and all of a sudden the screen turns to the movie, the Disney Plus menu. You're kind of like going, did something happen to the screen? Did that happen? And so basically then she breaks the thing open and goes down into another spot. And then she ends up going to where Marvel Studios Assembled is and goes and wants to talk to the writers and say, is this really what we're doing, guys? And basically she talks to some of the people in the writer's room. And they're like, yeah, this is where we're going. That's what Kevin wants to do. And she's like, Kevin? That's who's in charge? And it's like, yeah. It's like, can I see Kevin? They're like, no. And she's like, I'm going to go see Kevin because this is not how this should go. And so basically she ends up going and she has to fight all these security guards and stuff like that. And she's beating them up and stuff like that. And then she gets to the place where Kevin's supposed to be. And it's this big, surround sound surrounding TV thing with the Marvel Studios thing going and stuff like that. And all of a sudden something lowers from the ceiling and it's this robot thing. And this is who Kevin is. And Kevin's supposed to be this, I forget what exactly the Kevin stands for, but he's supposed to be some sort of AI that he's the one that finalized the script. And basically she ends up having a conversation with this Kevin and saying, you need to rewrite this and stuff like that and change it. And then as they go on. He's like, okay, so we shouldn't do this. And she's like, no, this is so cliche and this and that and stuff like that. And basically end up like coming to an agreement to where how they're going to change the episode. So we move on. Yes, Renee, what would you like to finish with your comment?
Oh, well, I mean, go ahead and wrap up what you're doing, Cyber, and then I'll jump back. And I can tie it in with what I was saying before.
So, question basically. So, what were your guys' thoughts of that whole sequence? Basically, Jen popping up, seeing the abomination, the start of the fight, leading up to the whole Kevin thing. Loki's mom.
Yes, sir.
Your thoughts?
And Kevin stands for Knowledge Enhanced Visual Interconnectivity Nexus. That's Knowledge Enhanced Visual Interconnectivity Nexus. I think I got that all out. A lot of syllables there. I think this is when we finally get into this sequence, when we get past the into the all of a sudden, here comes Abomination. He pops up, but apparently he I think it's kind of obvious he's not connected to this Intelligentsia. He's just hosting a seminar for an empowerment seminar or whatever, starring, I guess he needs money to pay for. I don't know. Maybe that's why we don't see his bevy of beauties anymore. They left him high and dry, and he's got to pay for his retreat now. I think at that point, I sort of gave up on what this series was about a couple episodes ago. I thought, I'm just going to write it out at this point. I think it was about 2 episodes ago. The inevitable wedding that is in every sitcom. They have the wedding scene, the wedding episode. But what we're seeing here is a farce. The whole episode, all 9 episodes, is a farce. It's that type of comedy. And if you know what a farce is, it's the type of, and we've seen a lot of it, but it's when you have a lot of crazy things that happen that come in and out from left stage, right stage. It's non sequiturs all over the place. And then it's sort of toward the end, everything sort of mashes up. Everything comes back together. Very often you'll see a big pile up, a car chase, and then all the cars will wind up in the square, all piled up in a big heap. That's called farce. And the movie when this happened, when she did that thing with jumping in, going through the TV and then getting in the Marvel Assembled, I think that's the episode she goes into. I thought Blazing Saddles, because that's what they did at the end of that movie. I mean, they go through this whole sequence. They're fighting the bad guys, the Indian, they're whatever. And then the next thing we know, they're in the modern day Hollywood on a sound stage. So that's what it reminded me of. So she's walking around Marvel Studios at that point, and it's so she's really broken. I mean, she has totally broken the fourth wall. She's in our universe right now, where the writers that we're complaining about that are so woke, that are putting all these things in here and man bashing all in this episode, and how dare they, and they're dividing the fans and all that. We see them in there doing that. Well, who's behind it all? Is it Lib Central? No. Is it a university? No. It's Kevin. It's a computer. It's an algorithm that's deciding what all this stuff is. So yeah, I think this is where it was going. I think I sort of guessed a little bit at the first episode because it was a little over the top man bashing all the way through. I'll agree with Jeff. There was a lot of that in there. But it was being done on purpose. It was being done to provoke Jeff and people like Jeff and provoke thought and things like that. I know Jeff's going to disagree with me on that totally, and that's totally fine. But that's just how I see it. And I put a little bit of thought into it, and I actually looked at the episodes over again, and yeah, it's been done on purpose. You've been baited. Just like Jen was, just like Intelligentsia did to Jen. This episode is baiting people on purpose. It's trolling fans. They're getting back at it, getting back at the fans, and just a little bit. They're just poking just a little bit back at the fans. And for that alone, I'm gonna give it high marks, because that took guts to do it. Your mic, Cyber.
Oh yeah, I forgot I was muted.
You forgot.
I forgot. Anyways, thank you, Renee. That was fantastic. All right, Jasmine, your thoughts, please.
And I agree with Renee.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with everything she says because she is correct. She is correct in every way, in every form, and it was amusing to watch Jeff immediately go to his phone. I watched. I just looked up, and he was like, text. Because
his head's
true.
going back and forth.
Yes, it was, wasn't it? And his face was going, ooh,
like
I can't wait to talk.
I'm just talking that incel lingo to some chick, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, real quick and whatnot. You know how we do it. Yeah. No, she already left. This is the second one.
Oh, okay, good. Thank God. Yeah, let's get a little stanky in there.
All right.
So basically, the show was going there the whole time. The whole point of the show was to make controversy and to get people riled up. That was the whole point. It was to it started a whole movement of She-Hulk, and it showed who is an Intelligentsia member in the fandom. It really did, because I never saw so many people upset on the internet. And with the show, going from Todd doing exactly what we thought he was going to do, he took the shot and he hulked out looking like Scrappy-Doo from Scooby-Doo in the 2000s. Oh, that was horrible. Oh, the come at me, bro. Oh, I said bruh so many times. I was just like, oh no.
Yeah, well, I thought all those guys were all in on it. All those guys that were.
I did, but I didn't want to because when it came to Josh, I really didn't want him to. But then when he turned out he was.
Well, we had to get rid of him, you know.
Yeah.
He couldn't be between him.
No, but I really wish he was in that room so he could get his butt beat. Even if it was just Titania throwing him across the room.
Yeah, we didn't get to see that part.
But having Titania bust through the wall for no reason at all, it felt like a video game just spawning NPCs, like we were watching The Matrix, and agents just started showing up and spawning everywhere. That's what it was giving me.
And like
because
I said, when in a farce and some of the movies, when the cars all smash up, we just had a big Hulk smash. We had whatever, Todd turned into a Hulk, She-Hulk, Titania, she's sort of a Hulk, and then we had Bruce himself drop in. So
like,
they just all
he literally dropped
together.
in like somebody dragging a piece like a video game character and just dropping them into the room, and he just crashed in talking about some get your hands off my cousin, bastard, or some shit. I can't remember what he said. Asshole. That's what he said.
Really
he said asshole.
1970s TV series.
Yeah, it was giving very much video game, and it was amusing for like the short period, but I did enjoy very much of her breaking the fourth wall and getting out there, because like, of course, when it went straight to the menu, I freaked out. I thought I pushed something. I almost picked up the remote to go and mess with it, and then she broke out and swung off the panels. And it fits because it's supposed to take She-Hulk's supposed to take place after Shang-Chi, so having his little making of on there was pretty cool. And then having her break her way through Marvel Studios and talking to everybody is very comic accurate, especially since in the comics she does it first before Deadpool was even made. And it was nice watching her bash everybody. And the guy who actually was behind the front desk that made her sign the NDA is actually somebody that actually did that for a job at Marvel Studios. and they thought that was particularly funny because just to have somebody go, "Hey, that's the guy that made me sign the NDA." They thought that would be funny, and it was because I was like, "Hey."
Yeah, very self-referential.
Yeah. And it was Blazing Saddles. It definitely was from the little clip I saw on YouTube. It was definitely very Blazing Saddles. And it definitely was a show where we didn't need the whole Jen's blood as a plot line. We didn't need Hulk being the whole center of attention because it's her show. It really needed really? We didn't need we basically needed her stakes of what it's like to be a superhero getting their powers and being in the limelight instead of being someone hiding, kind of like Miss Marvel, Daredevil, and the rest of the heroes. It was kind of nice, honestly. And Emil's an ass because he really puts that on a chicken.
He's just an opportunist.
He really is. He really is.
Okay.
He wants that money.
Okay, we need some testosterone up in this bitch.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you, ladies.
I'll interject some testosterone.
All right. Thank you, ladies. Jeff, your thoughts, sir, please.
Well, I mean, honestly, the fourth wall stuff is cool. Like that I dig. I do. The fact that was like the Marvel Studios, what the hell was is the name of that show that she like crashed the setup and whatnot? What do they call that show on Disney Plus?
Marvel Studios Assembled.
Assembled, yes. That I dug. I like that. I like the fact that they connected that like that. The writer's room deal and whatnot, I thought she was talking about Kevin Feige. And I actually thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I did. I thought it was funny as shit. It kind of gave me some Seinfeld vibes for a minute almost, like when the dude was like, I'd rather die than like introduce you to Kevin or some shit like that or whatever. I was like, okay, like this is better than freaking Hulk leg, whatever Cloud World shit I just watched like a minute ago or whatever, honestly, I thought that it was a little bit too extended. Like they could have maybe cut it short a little bit. The whole, dynamic with the robot and everything and all that. And, I'm still trying to work out the scientific realities of like whatever it is you were explaining, Renee, about how the robot basically explained how the entire series is just a joke or whatever or whatnot. Like, I don't even know or whatever. But, so
it was put together not by human beings and a writer. What the robot's insinuating that it's a computer algorithm where all this data is fed in, where they go to these fandom, where they go to screenings, where they go to these Comic-Cons, and stuff like that, and they're trying to and what's popular, what's the popular TV show now. So let's see if we can make a Marvel tie-in or Marvel-ish like that. So I mean which is what they're kind of doing with this. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of I got a Curb Your Enthusiasm there. Larry David, who created Seinfeld with Seinfeld himself, he does a lot of that, and so very self-referential, a lot of. And there was some self-deprecation in there, I mean, and when you stop and think about what Marvel itself has been going through trying to figure out that, they had this humongous success, the most successful couple movies ever. Certainly this whole new thing that they've done with the phases and tying and making it a saga and not just a bunch of movies like James Bond or what they've been doing over at DC and whatnot, and not really tied in or anything, but so and then when you stop and think about it, then COVID hit when they're in the middle of just launching this whole new venture with their TV shows and everything gets shut down. I mean, I think wasn't the Loki series, it was totally shut down in the middle. They had to sit in their hotel rooms for months waiting till they could get the go ahead to go back and finish doing that TV show. So that backed everything up, and then they've had it. So it's been kind of like, and when you think about the chaos, the multiverse chaos that's going on here, they've got this, okay, wait a minute, we got this universe over, we got this verse over here, and now we got the X-Men. How are we going to bring the X-Men into this verse? So they got their own multiverse plate spinning going on. So I think it's very, when you stop and think about the whole thing, and kind of going back to what a little bit of what you were talking about, Jeff. Now, be honest. Up to this point, it has not been a male bashing. Marvel has never male bashed. If anything, it has held the male up as this wonderful creature who is capable of being all these kinds of things, of making the world a great place. I mean, the first few movies were all men.
Preach.
So it's not. I mean, I don't think Marvel's going off in a horrible direction that oh my god, and it's going to be woke, and we're going to have to endure them. We're going to have this gay character, we're going to have this bisexual character, we're going to have this transgender character, and all that, and where are the straight guys going to be? Oh my god, where am I going to be in this Marvel
Woke just means
universe?
they don't want representation. Is that in itself?
Well, I'm not male bashing here or anything like that. I'm saying,
I'm not
guys,
saying
don't
that.
I know, Jasmine, but what I'm saying is, I think there's a place for everybody in the Marvel universe. Every one of us have a place there, including the straight guys who are going to be heroes too. And I think most of them are. Almost all of them are.
All right. Did you have anything else to say, Jeff?
Yes, I'm going to become a third wave feminist. Because
No, you
Kevin,
need to be a fourth wave.
Kevin the robot told me that I should become a third wave feminist, and so I'm
Fourth wave.
Yes,
Fifth,
fourth wave,
or fifth, or sixth.
That's right.
Let's just keep kicking it down the road.
Yep, I have respect for women. I'm going to become celibate. And
don't
gay.
do that. Don't do that.
No, I'm just kidding. But no, I just thought, like I said, the whole like breaking the fourth wall deal and whatnot and everything, it looked really cool visually. Like seeing her pop out of the fucking Disney Plus screen or whatever and all that and whatnot. I thought that was neat. I like that. How she kind of popped out of that window or whatever and hung out for a minute. That was pretty dope. I like that imagery, I like that it was her as Jen or whatever, like her non-She-Hulk side that was doing it, not She-Hulk. I thought that was cool. And if anything for me, I would have liked to have seen her flush out more of the whole dichotomy with the She-Hulk Jen deal that we started the series with, right? With episode 1 with Bruce. And then we've been dealing with like all throughout the series that battle, that fight between like, almost like, that struggle of like whether or not she wants to embrace being She-Hulk or just be Jen and whatnot. I felt like they dropped that with the finale. Like that just got left out. And I would have liked to have seen that played out more at more of a like Moon Knight type level. Like an actual it's like psychological like angle more, if anything. Other than just her like hulking out and whatnot, and then the Intelligentsia and the fourth wall. I would like to have seen more of that. But besides that, I just would like to have seen more action. Like more She-Hulk fighting people and like, punching shit and breaking stuff. That would have been good.
All right, thank you. All right. So, coming to the epic conclusion of this episode. So after Jen speaks with Kevin, she goes back to the episode. Emil is being arrested. Todd is being arrested. Daredevil pops up at the end, right at the end of everything. Jen basically says words to Emil that you sign this, you go back, you serve your time, blah, 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 because it's like, yep, I'm making, and, Emil says, yeah, I'm taking, my responsibility of what I did. And, basically that happens, and it goes back to, after they finish that up, it goes to Jen walking up the stairs, and she's talking to a reporter. She briefly speaks to the reporter about what's going on, that, now she's back and doing her thing. And then after that section, it ends up going back to her parents' house, where she's having like a like a picnic barbecue with her whole family, and that's when Bruce pops up. And Bruce is there, and he's like, "Hi guys," and that kind of stuff. He's like, "I'd like to introduce you to somebody." And that's when, boom, we get his son, Scar. Oh my goodness, Scar. Now, CGI wise, he looked okay, but I thought they could have done a little better. But they show us Scar, and that basically reiterates what we saw at the beginning of the season with the Sakaar ship coming down and them almost crashing into it when Jen gets turned into She-Hulk, and Bruce taking off in the spaceship and going to Sakaar. So now that kind of gives us a full round of what happened with Bruce during the season. And basically then it ends, and we get the post-credit. We get basically the credits. Does its credit thing, goes through all the different actors, stuff like that, gives you those great images, and then we get a post-credit scene. Oh yeah. So this post-credit scene, basically it shows Emil. He's back in the DODC. He's laying there, and all of a sudden Wong appears. We got Wong again. So everybody thought we weren't going to see Wong again. We got him again. And he pops up. He's like, "Sorry it took me so long." And basically Emil's like, "It's because of the show." And he's like, "I can't stop watching it," which was absolutely hilarious, I thought. And basically, he basically breaks Emil back out, and they leave, and that's the end. So, let's talk about the ending. What were everyone's thoughts on this ending and that post-credit scene? Starting with you, Loki's mom.
Oh, okay. One thing I meant to add before, real quick. When Jeff said the incels were the villains, no, Kevin is the villain. He's been the villain all along, because he's he's the one who created this TV show that we just saw, or the narrative. Her narrative. He's the one who has created Jen's life up to that point. So she's getting her life back. She says, "No, I'm going to take control of my life, Kevin." So she has everything corrected. Then she pops back into her reality, as it were, and everything's back to where it's a little bit easier, more manageable, more controllable. Something that's people aren't getting killed, buildings aren't getting smashed up, cars aren't getting wrecked. Emil's going back to jail. Todd's going to go to jail along with some of his little cohorts for all the things that they did to Jen. And then it's all happy ending. We're back at the family picnic, and here comes Bruce and the kid, and of course Daredevil's there, and they're all happy with it because he's a lawyer and all that, and they want to make sure he has a good living. So yeah, I think at one point I think it's a little bit earlier in the episode there, she said, "Is this how the season's going to end? This season's going to end." So I think they're setting us up for another episode, another season. Maybe a little bit more with her being involved with Daredevil's, his series. So little hints there, maybe not. We'll see. So yeah, I think the ending though, I will say, yeah, it was pretty flat. It was kind of, it was kind of, here again, they're drawing in loose threads because they bring in Bruce and his new son that Jasmine so rightly predicted would come about. So kudos to you, Jasmine. Yeah, I don't know. I guess the ending was kind of a letdown. I think I enjoyed the farcical aspects of it more than I did just the episode itself. Yeah, good to see we got to see Daredevil again and hook up and all that. So yeah, I mean the ending part of it was kind of but whatever. It's done for now.
Yeah, thank you. And what did you think of the post-credit scene?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and we see Wong again, and so yeah, there again. Maybe we were going to see Emil later on into the MCU himself. So that's a good sign right there, and we'll see what's going to happen with that. I think I think anybody of Tim Ross' acting ability, I think he's going to be a plus in the MCU. So yeah, let's keep him going, and of course, we got to see Wong one more time.
Excellent. Thank you. Jasmine, your thoughts on the ending of the episode and the post-credit scene, please.
Well, the ending of the episode, it was nice to see that Daredevil is known in the universe with Titania waving at him and saying, "Hi, Daredevil." That makes him canon in the MCU. Outside of just meeting She-Hulk in his suit. On top of the fact that it's nice to see Matt Murdock happy and kind of in a relationship, meeting family members. Scar showing up, I pretty much saw that coming with the host of car ship coming down. So I pretty much knew he was going to show up, or at least they were going to allude to that happening at some point. And when it came to the end credit scene, once Wong said that he gave Emil, what was it? He was offering him a place to stay at some point, asylum. I pretty much knew he was going to break him out at some point, but it does give us an opening for him to show up in Thunderbolts because of the fact that now he's on the run. Even if he has asylum, he's technically a fugitive from the law. So that does give us some insight in him joining the Thunderbolts.
All right, thank you. And you have to bid us adieu now?
Yes, I do.
All right. Well, you have a great night. And thank you for being on the show. Is there anything you'd like to plug before you leave?
Yes, you can join me on YouTube at Jazzy Nerdy Girl Reacts and Twitter, which is Jazzy Production. And I'm pretty much on there all the time, so follow me and get some interesting tea and conversation and reactions.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you for being on the show tonight, and have a great night.
All right. Bye, you guys.
Bye-bye.
Night.
All right. So, Jeff, your thoughts on the ending of the episode and the post-credit scene, sir?
I think he nodded off.
He's there.
Oh, he woke up.
I didn't know what to, I mean, honestly, I thought the finale was a fucking shit show, man. It was a joke. It was fucking pathetic. Like, seriously, why did they even bother bringing Daredevil in at the end? What the fuck was the point of that? It's like it make it look like a joke. I mean, seriously. I mean, I don't even know what the point of it was. You know, like, I don't know. Honestly, other
than just to bridge him over into his series, that's the only thing I could see it. Just kind of giving us an amuse-bouche of his.
Yeah, you know,
of what it will be for him. You know.
No, I mean, look,
I thought it was pointless too. To tell you the truth,
it was a bad finale. I don't know what else to say. I really don't, Cyber. I hate to say it, but I don't even have anything good to say at all about the end of it at all. Other than the parents, they were great. The mom and dad were freaking great. They were hilarious throughout. Every time that they were on the show, they were in an episode. They were funny as hell. They were awesome.
He was spraying the gun with a hose pipe.
Yeah, no, they were funny. They were good. I love them. But I don't know. I mean, this series just got messy. You know, like it did. Like the farther we went, it got messy. And, you know, I just, I did not find anything entertaining about the finale at all. I really did not.
Did you like the post-credit scene at all?
I may have missed it. What was it?
What?
No, you can spoil it. Go ahead. Spoil it for me.
Breaks out.
Renee.
Yeah.
Can I please talk? Thank you.
I'm sorry.
I already had mentioned what the post-credit scene was, Sir Jeff, if you were paying attention, sir. But I'll reiterate for you since you're so busy with your phone. But anyways, basically, the post-credit scene is it shows a meal at the DODC, and Wong shows up and allows him to escape from the DODC. And they have a funny conversation because Wong took him so long to get there to break him out because he was watching a TV series.
Yes, that I saw. I did like it, yes. We finally know what the hell's going on now with Shang-Chi.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
sir.
it's nice to have that tied up. It is. And the thought of Shang-Chi, shit, after watching the She-Hulk finale, I could go watch Shang-Chi right now. And it would be like a complete game changer for me.
Excellent.
It would be very positive.
I love Shang-Chi. I think it was a fantastic film anyways. So I need the finale to tell me that. But anyways, so that is it for this episode review, guys. I want to thank everyone for being on the show tonight. I want to thank all the viewers out there, anyone that watched this finale. Yes, it wasn't the best finale of a Marvel series ever. I definitely think this is the worst finale I've seen out of all the Marvel Disney series. I definitely agree there. I did think the post-credit scene was the best part of the episode. I did love seeing Abomination in Abomination form, at least again in this series. I thought that was really great. But overall, I thought it was a decent series. I liked it. I'm not saying it's the best. I'm not saying it's the worst. But I am saying that there was a lot of goods and bads with this series. And I'm sure everyone's opinion will be different about it. Some are going to absolutely love it. Some are going to absolutely hate it, etc., etc. That's just how it is. That's opinions. That's what being individual people is all about, people. All right. So let's basically go from there. Like I said, I want to thank everyone for being on the show. Loki's
Can
mom.
we do our opinions of the whole series?
I suppose you can, Loki's mom. What would you like to say?
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take over your show, but since you had done your, I think the overall the series itself, I don't know, I didn't hate it. I didn't really hate it. There was just a lot of it I didn't like. I thought it was. I saw I know what they were trying to do with it. I don't think they were real successful with it. I think they just went overboard with the trolling, the trolling the trolls things, which was basically what they were doing. And I think, because everyone, they would do something. I said, oh my God, why did they do that? Why did they? It's just going to set somebody off. And but I understand why they were doing it. Like I said, it was a troll back onto these fans that you just can never please for some reason. I'd say I'd give the whole overall episode series probably about a 6. That's about as high as I can go with it.
All right. Thank you. Did you want to give it a rating, Jeff?
The overall series?
Yeah.
I give it a 5.5.
Wow, that's generous. That's generous for you after how you feel about it. That's better than I thought. Nice.
I know. And that's even with the irreversible erectile dysfunction from episode 7 that I'm still living with. Don't ask me how I'm having sex with that going on. It's very difficult.
Well, thank you for sharing that. All right, folks. So that is the end of the episode. We'll go around and any plugs that people would like to talk about, and we'll end this show. Renee, was there anything you'd like to plug before we sign off?
No, just folks, if you want to keep listening to some more Marvel talk and She-Hulk talk, we'll be over tomorrow. We'll do over at sakar.freeforms.net at the Podcast of Champions. We'll be doing the finale episode also. So it'll be interesting to see what those guys have to say about it.
Very true. Very true. Thank you. So yeah, that's Sakar, freeforms.net.
It's kind of a mouthful.
It is. It so is. Thank you. And of course, you can find me and my great co-host, Mr. True Knowledge, here on the MCU'S Bunch. If you haven't already subscribed, definitely subscribe to us. We want to get to that 3,000 mark. We're almost there, and then we're there. We are there.
We're there.
So we're to 4,000 now, people. So please, if
Right.
you haven't subscribed, still subscribe so we can get that 4,000 mark. So I want to thank everyone that has subscribed. Thank you very much for subscribing. You guys are awesome, getting us to that 3,000 mark. And of course, if you enjoy me here on the MCU's Bleeding Edge, you can definitely check out my other solo content under Cybernetic Shark as usual. You can find me there at YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Rizzle. You can find me everywhere there. And I put up all kinds of different stuff and stuff like that. And we appreciate you guys. And as always, we'll catch you in the next one.
Night.
Hey. I said, excuse me, but you don't understand where I'm at. I was all around the world, on span, across the map. I've been laying low and now it's time to pop up.